All right. We're live and I'm not ready. B. James here, your day trading dad. Getting my mic set up. There we go. Okay, so we got, I don't know, 30 seconds till open. Let's see what happens here. I think we could potentially have an interesting day. We have today's Tuesday before NFP, and that means that I want to be extra selective with my trades. I want to make sure that they're light bulb kind of trades. Totally obvious, so that's why I got the light bulb there. Hopefully it's not too annoying. We shall see. So right now, price is hovering right around the regular trading hours open, below the midnight open, below the previous day high, previous week equilibrium. We have some LR right above here, and it looked like there was a 30-second inversion, which is playing out. I saw that at 9:25 after it swept these relative equals. And you know, I don't take trades right before 9:30, because when 9:30 hits, they usually slap you. Usually, not always. So this one here would have been a winner. There's 2.5 right up there, right about there. So I would have taken a partial, would have gone break even. In this case, looks like 9:30 opened, didn't wick down. But ideally, I actually want to see 9:30 trade down. So here we tapped up into this 15-minute fair value gap, forming an SMT. London low was swept. We do have a 15-minute SMT down in here. So here we do have a bit of a breaker right there. So far so that's a pretty bullish candle right there. Let's see what happens. So here we're in consequent encroachment of this 15-minute fair value gap. Here we've put a potential fair value gap right here. You know, this 30-second was pretty light bulb, but I didn't want to take a trade right before the open. That's, according to my experience and data, it's not a good thing to do. You're just better off missing the setup. So these equal lows being swept, that was kind of what I was eyeing for a target to be swept, but it did it too early. So 115-point candle so far on this 5-minute. I mean, I already did get in one partial trade today. I took this long right down here off London low, and I got a partial before it consolidated and came back and took out my runner. I've been noticing that the 30-second time frame lately with this market volatility seems to be the time frame to be on. And I mean, that thing is just, that's light bulb right there. I wish it just would have waited. Beautiful setup. Look at YM. So everything's completely uncoupled. ES is in the middle, YM is the weakest, and NQ is the strongest. So my narrative was correct. You know, I was just a little early. And then here, didn't get the opportunity I was looking for. But I also, for today, Tuesday, want to make sure it's like super light bulb setup. And what this means here, be ahead of it, is one of the things I noticed is sometimes I might get a little, I don't know if the word's lazy, but, you know, like down in here, you know, I'll see that here's some relative equal lows, and then here's a fair value gap. Pretend that these two none of these candles have been printed yet. I'll see this fair value gap. I want to get ahead of it and make the decision if I want to take the trade or not once this gap is formed, giving me 1 or 2 more candles to further formulate my hypothesis. Yesterday, I missed out on the short because I was just a fraction of a second too slow. Here on this long, it would have given me many options to have gotten into it. But that's not always the case. And so for me, I just want to be ahead of it. So in this case, you know, I'm not interested in shorts right now. Breaking this London high. And that high right there. Not interested in shorts. But going back to what I was saying down here, is I've noticed a couple times just missing trades because I was just a little bit too slow, and having the decision being made pre confirmation here on this candle right there to be like, okay, cool. I know if this gap inverts, there's everything I want. There's SMT. We're at a level. We've taken out some equal highs. We've got some high probability targets. So I know for certain wherever this candle closes above this inversion, I'm going to go in on it, whether it's here or here. And the only thing I need to figure out in real time is the risk amount. Whereas yesterday, I was both figuring out how big was the risk, and I was taking in the whole setup and trying to determine if it was something I wanted to get in on. So that's what the be ahead of it note to self is. And yeah, the double check it twice is another. So a lot of my errors lately have come from just small tactical mistakes. And that's pretty much the story of my month of June, is small tactical mistakes. Instead of being up maybe 10R, I'm up 3R or something like that on the month of June because of small tactical mistakes. And the double check it twice is I got into a trade, I think it was last Thursday, and the market's been extra volatile. So that's for sure has been a little bit different. And when I got into one of my trades, I wasn't totally sure of my risk that I was putting up. And so, because I've had to reduce the number of contracts that I'm using to be able to get into some of these trades. Usually it's 2 or 3 or 4 contracts to get into a trade. In this whole last week or more, to be able to risk around $200 for some of these trades for this account, I have to go in with 1 micro. And so I'm not used to having 300 tick stop losses. And anyways, it threw me off. So I had a trade set up last Thursday, I think it was, where I went break even. And that's my rule. If something's off, I go break even to figure it out. Went break even on the trade so I could reassess my risks to make sure that I was correct on my risk. And tapped me out at break even while I was figuring that out and ran without me. And so what I want to do. Oh, and the other thing I've had similar to that, I just placed my stop loss wrong. And so a trade like this, whatever, well, there isn't an example here that's right, but ultimately, I just, I placed my stop loss, call it here. And I know this doesn't even make any sense because it's so small, but if this is where my stop, I placed my stop loss here, let's say, whereas my stop loss should have been here. And it wasn't that extreme of an example. It was like my stop loss was here and I got stopped out of a winner, and my stop loss should have been like here. It was just a minor difference. But that difference where my stop loss should have been, it cost me a winning trade and minus 1R. Obviously, not only did I not win the trade, it was minus 1R. So I've had a number of, that's kind of what's up for me lately, is a lot of just technical issues. And I mean, I'm not too upset, you know, up 3R on the month. Okay, I'll take it. Better than down 3R, better than break even. But it's not been an easy month for sure. I just had a lot of disappointing trades where I should have won them, but didn't. And that's definitely building. I'm noticing the frustration starting to build. And I noticed that pattern as well. I can tolerate about 2 weeks of frustration. And it's in the third week that I noticed it starts showing up in my charts with impatience, sloppiness, skewed decision-making, and things like that. And even like this setup down in here, this was skewed decision-making, I decided after the fact, because it didn't have some high probability targets. No relative equal highs, or highs, and also it didn't have excuse me, any trend line liquidity either, like this did right here. So that, to me, I had to downgrade that trade afterwards. I thought I saw, equal highs up here at London, but look how far they are away. And there's only one swing point. So this is not high probability liquidity. It took it, and it did it, but only after it had built up this right here. That's a perfect example and a perfect reminder for myself why you don't want to long against this. What you want to look for, ideally seeing some kind of like equals, right? Like that. And then you see a bunch of swings coming down, and then you get some kind of reversal against that. That's what you want to see. All right, so what now? We've swept London high. Whatever this high is, I guess, I don't know if it's technically London, because is London 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock? Depends on what you decide. Well, we need to zoom out. So that's not a fair value gap. We swept this liquidity right there, this buy side. Buy side's taken. We have equal highs on the 1 hour, on the 4 hour, 4 hours looking bullish. I mean, if there was a retracement, so you can see here, I wanted price to come. I did want price to come down a little lower. I would have accepted this as this setup we saw this morning. If it happened after 9:30, that would have been acceptable to enter for me. But I also was more thinking I would come back down further into discount, which is possible. Maybe we sweep this high, and we don't have equal highs. We're just in a premium, you know. Look at the 1 hour. I don't think that this is going to sweep it and sell off. I don't. But we'll wait for more information. So here's going to be an inversion, fair value gap. Here is going to be some kind of fair value gap, probably. And then we have this breaker. Kind of got 2 breakers. This is maybe a little bit more of, this is more of a change in state of delivery on the 15-minute. But this breaker is just so huge, it's just not even helpful. You know, it's not going to run up to here right now, I don't think. So we'll actually even just measure this, the change in state of delivery. So here we're tapping up into this fair value gap again. You know, I feel like if it wanted to sell off, it would have already done it from this fair value gap. Would have come and taken this low, and it wouldn't have had this bullish C2 candle. And if it closes above here today, that's obviously a change in state. Be seeing some bullish response out of YM. Holy moly. So the 1 minute's kind of just consolidating. Pretty ugly, actually. So the best action of the session was probably that 9:25 30-second long. So here's NFP week. I've evaluated the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. I think I have to add one more here. And what we can see here is looking at the AM versus PM sessions. And Tuesday, we can see that 38% of the time, the session and the setup are high quality. So Tuesday is the lowest probability out of any of these days. Wednesday and Thursday are higher probability AM sessions. And then Friday, NFP Friday, is generally not worth trading 33% of the time, just a little bit above likelihood of Tuesday presenting a quality price action and a quality setup. Now, NFP's Thursday this week, so I don't know if this means that today is more like Tuesday or more like Wednesday. And what we can also see is the PM sessions, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Only 25% of the time have price action in a setup that are worth a dang on Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday's 33%, Thursday's 40%. So just kind of indicating that Tuesday's our lowest probability day of the week. We need A+ price action and model. And I say PMs are all low probability, and I skip those. So that's just kind of my criteria, because I just know I'm going to save myself some potential frustration. And so let's see what we see here. Obviously, this is not high quality price action, and that's what made me think about showing you that spreadsheet. Doesn't mean we're not patient and wait to see if it cleans out. You know, I'm waiting maybe for a retracement. Still just consolidating. All right, so the 1 hour equal highs are now swept. Right here. Or sorry, they're no longer there, or they weren't there. What it was on the 15? I'm just losing my mind. I thought I had equal highs marked out right there. I'm losing my marbles. And so now maybe, now that this external range is swept, there's a possibility for, retracement down into internal. That's possible. I don't think not right now. I think that this is the low of the New York session, I think. Look at this massive gap though. So ES and YM look like they're catching up in strength. So yeah, we can see that I missed 7.4R this month. That's a big deal. And you can see that my trading scorecard here, the Consistency Lab is reporting back pretty significant issue. So that classifies the opportunity leakage as critical. And I know that this, 5.2R this week was huge. 5.2. I wonder if the math on this programming is wrong. 7.4. So I see 5.2 and 0.5R. So yeah, I'll have to check that math. But so far, well, I don't want to enter the AM session because the AM session is not done today, but you can see, the fields that I fill out for my AM session, lunch session, and PM session. And then go back to the journal. Oops. Oh, right, I moved everything. but I lost my 6-day A streak. You can see right there with a B yesterday. I fumbled a little bit, and this is where I was starting to tell you, like I had a week of vacation and I had a week of solid performance last week. I didn't miss anything, but the market gave me so many break-even trades. It was so frustrating. Break-even winners too. And so that was just super frustrating. I ended up changing my system after this week. So that way the break-even winners would have been break-even partials, or partials as opposed to, or well, how to say this? Full TPs, but I was going in with 1 micro, so I can't, take partials when I'm going in with 1 micro. But what I was doing is I was waiting, I would go in with 1 micro, I would break even at 1 R, and then I would TP at 2.5 or so, where I typically would take my final take profit. But I saw 3 out of the 4 trades that I took that were break even all would have been winners if they would have gone to 2.5 R, but they came back to break even, which is unusual for me. My system shows me that usually I don't have too many break even trades. But in this volatility, the market's also been retracing deeper and coming back to my entries a lot. And so that's been affecting my trading as well this last month. I'm not going to change my system necessarily, like permanently, but given that I have to go to 1 mic, I am going to make a small adjustment for these market conditions. I don't know how long they'll last. Ooh, pardon me. Bullish AF, so 319 handles. Here we do have this volume imbalance and fair value gap right there. Looks like a tailless candle. And we don't really have much for targets here, so let's zoom out and see what we got. Really not much. Kind of doesn't really help. We're in a 4-hour gap. You can see just a big box. This 1-hour gap is something I'll leave on the chart for a minute. We've got 1:40 left on this 1-hour candle. And so here's this whole gap. I'm gonna use it like that, noting we still do have a gap up here. I'm happy it's at least moving somewhere. I'd love for NQ to pick a direction. I don't care which direction. I just want to see it start moving. So here you have this humongous gap. Could become a breakaway gap. And we could form another gap right down here. And we still haven't even hit 1/3 ADR. So that's 1/3 the average daily range. So today's definitely a less volatile day. All right, back here on the 1 minute. We have this gap, possibly form some kind of gap right there. All right, so the gap did form. It's just inverted right there. Here's this tailless candle's been mitigated. So it came down, split at this low, inverted this again, and here's this gap right there. But there's no high probability target. There's no SMT. There's just a singular high. And it might go there. So this candle did not close above that inversion, not valid. This one swept external range. And this here looks nice. Like, see those highs? Like, look at that little, that would have been, I didn't see that. That's a nice, that would have been possibly, that would have been a continuation setup. I'm curious to see if it would have been valid. So what time was that? 9:50. Doesn't really look like there would have been a 5-minute fair value gap. No 3-minute. Yeah, for me, nothing valid. I'm just looking over here. So the 1 hour inverted this gap, came back down, retested it. Let's see here. Buy sides up here. We have a inefficiency forming. So how bullish is it? Does it leave this as a, oh, I don't think this will leave us as a breakaway gap, but does it come back down here? Continuation higher? So yeah, the only trade I got today was this long right here. Why is that locked? And that one right down there. Partial. Just a little early. So now the short's starting to look a little more appealing. Not gonna lie. Except for I'm not bearish. So that's for me. Of some of these swing points here. But there are no longs to be had. Alrighty. So we've gotten our expansion phase for the AM. So the reversal came at 9:30, 9:50 was a continuation macro. A little more likely, 10 a.m., 10:30, we should see some kind of reversal, and then likely or possibly another reversal. And that second reversal is maybe what I'm looking for. Maybe if it builds up some liquidity, does something like that, does a drop, creates a long, maybe something like that. So we'll see. We'll give it a little bit more time. The later we get into this session, the less confidence I have. Like, see how it's kind of just expanding and then a bit of a seek and destroy expansion. Little bit cleaner, but still not great. I don't want to see that. We got about 1 minute left on this 15-minute candle. Only a small little gap below at this point. Right there. One hour's kind of stalling out. Well, it's just consolidating. What do we think here? What do we think? I feel like I don't have much to say. So yeah, I'll probably end it here. It's a few boring streams in a row. I know. I don't think I've taken a trade on stream in a couple days. Trades I took yesterday came after in the PM. But I also don't think I'm going to see anything I want to see here in the next 15 minutes even. And I just want to preserve part of it's preserving my mental capital. So we have a lot of things indicating to me it's lower probability conditions today. My goal is not to sit in front of the charts and burn brain cells. It's be aware of what's going on in the charts, and if what I want to see happens, be able to take it. And at the moment, you know, I want to see it build some liquidity for like 15 or 30 minutes, and then maybe there's something to do. So I don't really see a point in just sitting here. So yeah, just want to share that, not in the like the laziness way, but just in the, I think it's good not to stare at the charts the whole time and take some breaks here or there. For me personally, at least, that's kind of what helps work. Just creates a little bit more mental capacity for all this micro decision making that we do when we take trades. So yeah, I guess I'll end the stream here and I'll catch y'all tomorrow is Wednesday. Yeah,